to come and go through the nights. The cloud acting as a blanket, keeping the temperatures up at 8 to 10 Celsius for most. But it will be a bit colder in western Scotland, where we've got those clearer skies. But again, here, that's where we'll see some sunshine through Wednesday. Elsewhere, sunshine in short supply, a little bit possible on the south coast of England, parts of southwest Wales, and maybe through the day it could brighten up in North Wales. The thickest cloud in eastern England, still some drizzle here and there, parts of Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. Mostly dry and cloudy for Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, and indeed the far north of Scotland, with some outbreaks of rain likely across Shetland in particular first thing. But a good part of northern Scotland, across the mainland at least, should again see some blue skies and some sunshine. Feeling quite pleasant here with light winds and temperatures getting up to 12 or 13 degrees. Not all that pleasant across eastern England, with some drizzly conditions and that thick cloud, and temperatures here again only 12, 13 degrees. With some brightness further south and west, we might sneak up to 15 or 16 Celsius. Thursday, well, kind of more of the same. If anything, a little bit more rain across northern Scotland. Nothing heavy, but some light and patchy rain on and off here. Perhaps a few more breaks over the Midlands and North Wales to reveal a bit of blue sky. But for most, Thursday is, again, mostly cloudy and mostly dry. That will continue through Friday and Saturday, but changes are on the way for Sunday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Motorists in South Tyneside should note a collision on the A19 southbound leading to lane closures. Derbyshire has congestion on the A38 with expected delays. Staffordshire's A38 northbound is congested between A5121 at Burton-upon-Trent South and A5132 junction. In Surrey, the M3 westbound is affected by a collision and a broken-down vehicle is troubling M4 westbound. And on the trains, cross-country services face disruption between Wakefield, Westgate and Leeds, while Great Western Railway services between Ash and Guildford are affected. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. A morning in court. Madapasa has been sentenced. Interestingly, not just for threat to kill, But 8 months of his sentence, albeit to run concurrently, was for entering the country illegally. Why can't we do that to more of them? We're going to talk, as hostages and hostage releases are all the news, we're going to talk to Emily Damari's uncle about what hostage returns have meant to their family and what kind of adjustments people have to make after all that time. And Sir David Davis joins us in the last segment of this show to talk about digital ID. It is perfectly clear the government are now broadening the definition of what it's to be used for, and already, as a result of the Online Safety Act, we have the first major hack of people's vital information. All of that and much more, but first, let's get the news with Sam Francis.
Nigel, thank you, and very good evening to you. Just after 7 o'clock, the top story tonight. Breaking news, Donald Trump has warned the dead hostages have not been returned from Gaza as promised, amid deep divisions over Hamas laying down its weapons. So far, only 4 of the 28 deceased hostages have been recovered. The group says it will hand over 4 more bodies of Israeli hostages this evening, less than 24 hours after releasing 4 coffins. Meanwhile, Israel has told the UN it's cutting aid deliveries in half to just 300 trucks a day and banning fuel and gas except for essential humanitarian use. Israeli media is also reporting the Rafah crossing with Egypt will remain closed after Hamas missed its deadline to return all hostages remain. In other news, an Afghan migrant who came to the UK on a small boat has been jailed for threatening to kill Reform UK leader Nigel Farage in a TikTok video. 26-year-old Fayez Khan made the threat last October in a clip Mr Farage described as pretty chilling. Khan has been sentenced to 5 years at Southwark Crown Court after being found guilty of making threats to kill and entering the UK illegally. The court heard he gave a false name to British authorities, with Swedish officials saying he's actually 31-year-old Fayez Husseini, who has a criminal record there. Mr Farage says he is pleased with today's sentence.
And the only reason we know about this guy is because somebody sent it to me on TikTok. And it makes me wonder, how many other Madder passers are there now in this country? Or will there be as the boats continue to cross the channel? So I'm pleased with the judgment, but deeply, deeply concerned that this guy will be out free in 18 months.
Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch is demanding answers over claims the government tried to cosy up to China. It follows the collapse of a high-profile spying case against 2 men accused of working for Beijing. Mrs Badenoch says the government refused to share vital information with prosecutors, causing the charges to be dropped. Downing Street insists its national security advisor, Jonathan Powell, had no role in the decision, while Security Minister Dan Jarvis has dismissed the allegations as baseless. And the UK is set to face the highest inflation in the G7 over the next 2 years, according to the International Monetary Fund. The IMF says price growth will average 3.4% in 2025, easing slightly to 2.5% the following year, both higher than earlier forecasts and well above the Bank of England's 2% target. It comes as inflation, now at 3.8%, has been driven by rising food, hospitality and labour costs. The IMF also upgraded the UK's growth forecast for this year, but warned of a slowdown in 2026. The Chancellor has welcomed the IMF's improved growth outlook, but the opposition says the figures make for grim reading for working families. Those are the latest headlines. More in an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
His surname over in Sweden was Hussein. When he came to the United Kingdom, he told everybody his name was Fayez Khan. But on TikTok, he was known as Madder Passer, and I was alerted last October to this man travelling through Germany, France, making his way to Calais. And I just, I looked at various clips of him. I saw him with guns. I found out a little bit more about his background, videos of him with 3 young women, all dressed in full burqas, a Kalashnikov on his face. And I just thought, I don't know, I'm not sure we want someone like this coming to our country. So I started posting. I started basically saying, this is the journey of an illegal migrant into Britain, and frankly, we don't want him. This was one of his responses.
Englishman, Nigel Farage, don't talk about me. You not know me. I come to England because I want marriage with your sister. Don't talk about me more. Delete a video. This is not good, my friend. You not know me. I gonna come to England. I gonna mother. Man, you know.
Not the sort of chap you invite round for Sunday tea, and I was alarmed by it. Well, undeterred, he made the crossing and he kept on posting on TikTok. Here he was in a dinghy crossing the channel. So today was sentencing. We learnt that he's had 17 convictions since he's been in Sweden. A variety of drugs charges, theft charges, knife crimes, threatening to stab and rape women, threatening public officials. I mean, this is a seriously bad guy. I thought the judge, Justice Stein, did her job very, very well. She effectively gave him the maximum sentence that he could have got. It could be up to 10 years for threat to kill, but that would need to be physically, pointing a gun in your face, and he got 5 years. Interestingly, he also got an 8-month sentence to be served concurrently for illegally entering the country, which made me think, should all people who come illegally go to prison for a few months? And if they did, wouldn't that stop the boats from coming? Because clearly the legislation's in place that does allow us to do this if simply we have the will. Give me your thoughts. Should all of them go to prison for a bit to stop the boats? Tweet #Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com. Well, I have to tell you, after the sentence, he went absolutely berserk in the dock, and he was threatening me again, and kicking doors and screaming and shouting. But actually what he was saying was, please send me back to Afghanistan. But here's the funny thing. If that was in Germany, after he'd served his sentence, or part of it, he could be deported to Afghanistan. There are plane loads going from Berlin to Afghanistan. But in this country, we say, no, we can't send anyone there because it's not a safe country. This guy, because he's been remanded for a year already, will be out in 18 months' time, free to walk the streets of our country in 18 months' time. So there's a bit of me that says, I'm very, very pleased that I highlighted this individual. There's also another part of me that says, I'm pretty worried this guy will be out in 18 months. I'm joined by Sir Ranald Jayawardena and Joe Phillips, regulars here. Ranald, it's fascinating. I mean, look, 5 years for threat to kill was right. I think she got that absolutely right. But 8 months in prison for illegally entering Britain, so much more we could do.
Yeah, it shows it can be done, can't it?
Yeah.
And, yes, there's much said about the judiciary, an independent judiciary and so on. I think this was right, and this is a brilliant expose of where things have been going wrong by default. So I think we do need to look at this more closely, but also we've got to be careful about the signal it sends. We equally don't want people rocking up knowing they can get into the UK. Yes, they might have to serve a few months in prison, but then we simply can't get rid of them. So we've got to be careful about that. But fundamentally, it's a deterrent.
But I mean, the difference between arriving in Dover, being processed in Mansfield,
put in a hotel,
or a house, and thinking I might be detained for 8 months, would be a very big disincentive.
So it's certainly better, isn't it? It's iteratively better. I just want to be careful around this, that we don't create another industry for the lawyers to say, OK, right, now they're in prison, but you can't get rid of them.
Hang on, we can't get rid of them anyway.
Well, quite right now, but this is why I do favour the offshore processing like Australia did, like this country was going to do. That's the real deterrent. But this is perhaps a halfway house for now. It's under existing legislation, so no change required.
I mean, as I said, Joe, part of me was pleased today, part of me was pretty horrified today. And I thought, well, if I hadn't posted about this guy, he would be walking the streets freely in our country.
Well, and who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because I remember...
Or how many others there are like this.
When you showed the clip last year, whenever it was. No, it's absolutely chilling. And I think, you know, it serves as a horrible reminder, very personal to you. But we are 4 years on from David Amos's murder. And David's daughter, along with Joe Cox's widower, Brendan, have reminded people of the risk to people in public life, elected politicians. Sir Ed Davey, there's a court case going on at the moment about somebody who's been making a nuisance of themselves.
A stalking case, basically.
Yes. And, you know, it's a horrible thing. And I know, you know, you choose to go into politics. You did, Ranil did. But people need to realise how horrible and how frightening this sort of thing is. And I think, you know, this bloke came from Sweden. Why can't he go back to Sweden?
Well, this is interesting, because Sweden rejected his asylum claim.
But he's been convicted in Sweden.
He's been convicted in Sweden. There are open charges still in Sweden around child pornography. But his asylum claim was rejected, and the Swedes don't want him back. But he wants to go back. He was screaming in the court, send me back to Afghanistan.
Well, and
isn't that at the end of the sentence what we ought to do?
But actually, not even at the end of the sentence. If you're found guilty of something as serious as this...
Could go now.
You should go now, because actually, although, and I completely get what Ranil's saying about, you know, you can't process everybody, apart from anything else, we haven't got space in the prisons. And there is, while there is no legal route for some genuine asylum seekers, you can't assume everybody is illegal.
But Joe, if we detain people in army camps, RAF camps, if they knew that on coming to Britain they would be detained for several months, fewer would come.
If you process them quickly. And that's part of the problem. I mean, if you process them quickly, you can say, no, you're illegal. Right, you either go or you go into prison.
If you process them quickly, and 15 to 20% of them are Afghans, and the current policy is you can't deport them to Afghanistan, you're no further forward.
But you can't just lock people up. We haven't got room prisons.
But
well,
it's just
I think former military camps would do the job.
Well, it's just bonkers, though, that some people are claiming asylum, but then going on holiday to Afghanistan, and yet the courts deem it not to be a safe country. It's just totally irrational.
And by the way, he has now lodged an asylum claim.
Right, there we are.
So when he comes out in 18 months, unless we've got the courage to deport him to Afghanistan, because the Swedes won't have him, then he's going to be free to walk the streets.
Yeah. And yet he was calling to be deported right now to the country that he says is not safe.
It's a total nonsense.
Well, the judge did a job, and I think she did a job very, very well. But I'm going to come back to this point. You know, 8 months, and actually in most countries in the world, if you break into a country illegally, you are put in prison. It's what normal countries do. And Joe, she's given him this sentence. We could get tougher, couldn't we?
It's the first time I've heard of anybody being sentenced for this. The first time ever. And you, Ranil, have you heard it?
Yeah, first time, exactly. And, you know...
this, by the way, is a High Court judge.
Yeah.
I mean, Justice Stein was no mug. She knew exactly what she was doing
this is a
within
Crown
the law.
Court, isn't it? So it doesn't have to go right the way up.
No.
And actually, on that level, it could be done at Magistrates' Court.
Well, and, you know...
Yes.
So that level of sentencing.
Yes, and fundamentally, if the Home Secretary wants to portray herself as tough on borders, as the Labour Party wants to right now, then they could direct. Yeah. They could direct that this is the way that they want to deal with it. So well, ball in their court.
Yeah. We're a couple of boats short of 37,000 crossing the Channel, and that'll be a record up on last year. There's no sign of this stopping, is there? No sign at all.
Sadly, right now, no. And we've got to have more deterrence, you know, so whether it's using this law and putting people in prison for coming here illegally, and illegally is the word, that is a criminal act, or whether it's an offshore processing scheme, which I've long advocated for, something must be done. It can be done. This shows it can be done. Yeah. And it's now, you know, ball in Labour's court to get on and do the job.
And yet the Liberal Democrats and Labour are saying, well, when we were EU members, we had a return scheme. But under the return scheme, we took more than we sent.
Yes, but we didn't use the return scheme as well as we could have.
No. Joe, it didn't work.
The other thing that we did have, which we don't have now since Brexit, is access to the fingerprint data, which would show people who were criminals.
Hang on a sec. Interpol's been around since
No, it's not Interpol.
No, hang on. Interpol's been around since 1923. And that's how police forces used to cooperate. Yeah. So why couldn't we do that?
Well, I'm sure we do on certain cases, but there was a database of fingerprints of convicted criminals.
Well,
it would immediately say, OK, if you want to put people who've entered here illegally, you start with those people who are convicted criminals.
But what? OK, well, Madapasa, as he calls himself, is a convicted criminal.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we can't send him back to Sweden because they won't have him.
No.
So what do we do?
Well,
I mean, even if we know they're criminals, if they come from Eritrea or most of these countries...
And he's going to be there for 5 years or 18 months or whatever,
months from now.
In a prison that, you know, is being paid for by us.
No, listen, Joe, I'm with you. I'd send him to Afghanistan tomorrow.
I mean, I think, you know, if you do that... Sorry, Ronald.
I was just going to say, so Europol is what you're referring to, Joe, and...
It's not, it's called Eurodac or something.
Eurodac is the... Europol's the organisation, Eurodac is the database.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is we've cooperated with countries, we've extradited with other countries without the European Union.
Well, exactly. And also with Europol, if they wanted us to participate, and it serves both sides to participate in sharing details on criminals, they could have done it. They chose not to. And, you know, your point remains valid, Nigel, that even if we knew who the criminals were, France, Sweden, they're playing, you know, this hardball game of not taking anyone back.
I have to say, it's been a funny old day. I was right to point out what a bad guy he was. I've got mixed feelings about the whole thing this evening. Now, a Home Office spokesman said, "We welcome this sentence. Threatening violence against anyone, particularly an elected member of Parliament, is never acceptable. We thank the police and all those involved in bringing justice in this case. When foreign nationals commit serious crimes in our country, we will always do everything in our power to deport them." Yeah, really. OK, thank you very much indeed, Home Office. Now, in a moment, we're going to talk. Now, Emily Damari, if you remember, was the British hostage, one of the first to be released. Going to talk to her uncle in a moment about what the impact of Emily coming back was, and just how difficult it's been for her to readjust to any sense of a normal life.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline
Italy.
Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
We're going to do now, they are throwing things up the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, some of your thoughts on the 8-month sentence and whether it could apply to everyone that comes by small boat. Steve says, fantastic idea, Nigel. Give them all a few months in prison and then deport them. Would stop them overnight, so it would. Also, the fact that our law would allow that simply demonstrates that Labour have been gaslighting us. And Clara says, Nigel, I disagree with you on this one. Our prisons are bursting at the seams. Just send them straight back to where they came from immediately. All right, fine. If we could do that, that would be... But, you know, you can't literally send them straight back. You've got to put them somewhere, at least for a couple of nights, it seems to me. Now, absolutely fantastic news yesterday as hostages were freed. And some of them, of course, have had pretty horrendous experiences, have been in chains, been in tunnels, deprived of sunlight, in many cases deprived of food, physical abuse. Really, really tough. There was, of course, an earlier release of some of those hostages, and the British Emily Damari was one of them. This is what she had to say just after her release.
I'm here. I survived. And I'm so grateful to you all for your love and support while I was in captivity. And I knew I wasn't alone. I knew you were all with me. Last year, you listened to my mom, to my amazing mom, pleading for my release in Hyde Park. And this year, I'm home. Not quite in one piece, but I'm here.
Well, pretty dignified there. And her mother, Mandy, who I've met many times over that period of time, and I did my utmost to raise the case of Emily. And I'm joined down the line by Robert Moss, who's an uncle of Emily Damari. Rob, you know, you must have seen those images coming yesterday as those hostages were released. How difficult was it for Emily suddenly from being in the dark to being free?
Well, nice to see you again, Nigel. I mean, we met once in Parliament, I seem to remember.
Yes, we
December
did.
last year. I don't know if you remember that. I'm sure you might do.
I do.
Emily is a sort of force of nature, to put it mildly. Psychologically, she's extremely strong. I mean, I'm sure after 471 days, which is how long she was in captivity, you know, there's always going to be, she's going to be scarred for life, obviously, but she seems to be able to cope with it quite well. And especially yesterday when her two friends, Zivy and Gally, were released as well, the twins, the Berman twins. Yeah. I know before that, she really felt that she couldn't live her life as she would want to do. She had sort of almost survivor guilt, I suppose you'd call it.
Yeah.
But now, you know, they're out. She's seen them on FaceTime. She went to the hospital to visit them today. She feels she can sort of breathe again, I think she said yesterday. She's sort of almost reborn, and that will give her a whole new lease of life on top of the one she's already trying to enjoy now. At least she can enjoy it properly now.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can't forget, of course, that there are hostages that didn't make it, and not all of the bodies have been returned. It's worth mentioning that and thinking about that loss for those families. And Rob, you know, as a family, I mean, what do you make of President Trump's performance?
Well, it was it was a good piece of theatre, wasn't it? I have to say. I mean, I was talking to people in Hostage Square at the time, and they had, you know, as Air Force One was flying across Hostage Square, they could see the Red Cross ambulances coming back as well. The timing of it was just spectacular, basically. And the speeches that he gave, you know, especially the one in the Knesset, I thought was fantastic. I know it went on for about an hour, to be honest, but it was very entertaining. And, you know, you just sort of get the impression it's sort of like a bit of a peace in our time speech. I hope it's true. I hope they can follow through on it. I know today we've already got issues with the rest of the bodies being returned. And I mean, you know, for everybody, especially in Israel, it's really bittersweet that you mentioned it just now. 24 bodies still haven't been returned, and they won't be happy, or they won't be able to settle until those bodies come back. I mean, that is part of the deal. And I know already today that the Israelis have rowed back a little bit on that. But, you know, overall, I think in Israel yesterday, it was really unbridled joy, wasn't it? We did all see that. I mean, Trump mentioned dancing in the streets. I didn't quite notice that, but I'm sure some places in Israel, they were literally dancing in the streets.
Rob, thanks for coming on and sharing your family's joy. And I'll see you again sometime in Parliament. Thank you.
I hope so, Nigel. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for your support, by the way.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No.
Yeah, worth remembering the ones that didn't make it back.
Oh, completely. Yeah. And those that did...
Almost got lost a bit yesterday, I felt.
And also there are some people who made it and actually have committed suicide, and we shouldn't forget them either, which I think is what Rob was referring to and the survivors. I mean, he's absolutely right. The word he used, theatre, it was spectacular, but now the real work begins. And yes, it's about getting the bodies back on both
Are you going to say
sides.
something nice about Donald Trump?
I think his bulldozing diplomacy worked on Netanyahu, and it is a huge achievement to get a ceasefire and the hostages, the living hostages, returned. But the real hard work starts now.
Well, there was a grudging little bit of acknowledgement there, wasn't there, for the President?
But, you know, but it is true. It's not going to happen overnight. But there's one thing I would say, Nigel, one of the things that I found most moving was seeing people walking back to Gaza, the desire to go home, to that moonscape of rubble.
Which it is.
And horror and bodies of your loved ones buried under the rubble. But they wanted to go home and rebuild. And I think, you know, that's where the real work is.
Well, we pray that the deal holds. Well,
absolutely. I mean, we were talking about this previously. You've covered it for a long time, and this deal certainly had every best chance, given the coalition that had been formed with the Gulf states and so on. And so, you know, clearly a lot of hard work has gone into this. There's even more hard work to come. Yeah. And I think everyone should be involved.
No, I think you're both very much on point with that. Now, not everybody, though, is going back to Gaza, because the number of Palestinians crossing the English Channel is going up. Have a look at this and you can see, so far this year, the numbers have gone through the roof. You can add to that by looking at the sheer number of asylum claims in this country that have come from Palestinians. And you can also add to that the fact that the government are boasting about the number of Palestinian students that are coming into this country. Now, I have no idea who the young Palestinian men are that are coming into this country on those boats or in the back of lorries. But I put it to you, there could well be, among their number, Hamas-style operatives looking to get out before the IDF get them. Ranul, this is a security risk.
Yes. We've got to be really careful who we let in.
Well, we're not being careful.
And the current government is not being careful. Student visas and so on have long been used, unfortunately, and there's been consistent clampdowns. They still continue to be used by people looking to evade the system. Look, there's a difference, I'm sure, between certain people who've already been on long-standing registered courses, people who are well known to the British authorities, including in their home countries around the world, and people who might be signing up simply to use this as a route to get here. So we've got to be really careful.
Yeah. Do you see my concern on this?
Yes, I do, Nigel. But as I said, I mean, the pictures of people desperately wanting to go home, and we saw the
but
number...
not all of them, is my
Not
point.
all of them, no. But without legal routes to get here, you know, many Palestinians are highly educated and very entrepreneurial people. We can't just blanket everybody from one particular part of the world.
This is difficult territory, and these are difficult debates, but actually when it comes to certain types of crimes and offences, some nationalities are more prone than others. And if you were, and I put it to you, if you were a Hamas operative and you thought the IDF are going to hunt me down and take me out, fleeing to England's quite an attractive prospect.
Well, fleeing anywhere is quite an attractive prospect, isn't it, if you're escaping the IDF? But, I mean, there will be Palestinians who have got no reason to stay in the place where they have been absolutely...
Do you know what?
I mean,
that may well be true, but if a few of them are terrorists, I don't know what we're doing for the future. This debate will go on and on, of that I have no doubt. Now, tomorrow night, I've got a bit of a special, because Eric Trump will be coming on this show for an interview. We, of course, will talk about the incredible work his brother-in-law, Jared Kushner, did to help the president secure this deal. We'll also talk about Turnberry and what they're doing to try and get the Open Championship back there, because that is very near the top of President Trump's agenda. In a moment, I feel a degree of vindication over this. Rudy Cabana, who committed those murders in Southport, the next day I said in a video, I want to know the truth. Was this man known to the authorities? And all I got for saying that was a shed load of abuse and being accused of being a conspiracy theorist. Finally, we found out the truth. He was. All of that after the break.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Whilst the UK enjoys some settled, albeit cloudy weather this week, it's going to be increasingly wet on Wednesday in Sardinia and Corsica. Also some patchy rain moving into Madeira, 1 or 2 showers for the Canary Islands, but a lot of fine weather for Iberia at the moment, having seen this low move away. But that's the low bringing some very lively thunderstorms on Wednesday to Sardinia and Corsica, eventually moving through southern Italy into Greece as well, turning things unsettled later this week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Tomorrow, more of the same. Most places will be dry and drab with the winds fairly light, so nothing's moving very quickly. Chunky area of high pressure sitting over the UK, acting like a lid and keeping things mostly cloudy. We've got some breaks in the cloud across parts of Scotland, so here it will turn a bit chilly where we've got the clearest skies through the night. Could also turn a bit misty. Further east, the cloud thick enough at times for a bit of light rain and drizzle to come and go through the nights. The cloud acting as a blanket, keeping the temperatures up at 8 to 10 Celsius for most. But it will be a bit colder in western Scotland where we've got those clearer skies. But again, here, that's where we'll see some sunshine through Wednesday. Elsewhere, sunshine in short supply, a little bit possible on the south coast of England, parts of southwest Wales, and maybe through the day it could brighten up in North Wales. The thickest cloud in eastern England, still some drizzle here and there, parts of Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. Mostly dry and cloudy for Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, and indeed the far north of Scotland, with some outbreaks of rain likely across Shetland in particular first thing. But a good part of northern Scotland, across the mainland at least, should again see some blue skies and some sunshine. Feeling quite pleasant here with light winds and temperatures getting up to 12 or 13 degrees. Not all that pleasant across eastern England with some drizzly conditions and that thick cloud, and temperatures here again only 12, 13 degrees. With some brightness further south and west, we might sneak up to 15 or 16 Celsius. Thursday, well, kind of more of the same. If anything, a little bit more rain across northern Scotland. Nothing heavy, but some light and patchy rain on and off here. Perhaps a few more breaks over the Midlands and North Wales to reveal a bit of blue sky. But for most, Thursday is, again, mostly cloudy and mostly dry. That will continue through Friday and Saturday, but changes are on the way for Sunday.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the wake of those horrendous murders in Southport last year, I did a video in which I asked one very fundamental question. I have to say there are one or two questions. Was this guy being monitored by the security services? Some reports say he was, others less sure. Now, for daring to say that, I was some sort of ranting conspiracy theorist, and then we had the Prime Minister, of course, doing his best to make sure we couldn't find out the truth.
Are not just my choices,
though it is a choice I would make, it is also the law of the land. That is why I couldn't disclose the details. It's why others couldn't disclose the details. It's why all of you as journalists couldn't disclose the details, because the same laws applied to you just as they applied to me. And it's really important that we make that clear. But the purpose of the rule is to protect the justice that the families and the victims are entitled to.
Well, there is our thoroughly dishonest Prime Minister once again, saying things that simply are not true. And indeed, Jonathan Hall KC, who is the overseer of terrorism rules, the terrorism czar in this country, has consistently said that governments should stop hiding behind this defence, that actually the public have a right to know something about the background of the accused. And, you know, the London Bridge attack, we knew within a couple of hours that one of them was well known, had been in the PREVENT programme. Well, finally we've learnt that actually, in this case, actually MI5 had assessed Rudy Cabana as a mid-teenager and said they hadn't found an ideology, but they were worried about a common theme with regard to weapons. He was known to the authorities. And the fact that these sort of things were withheld from us is why we finished up with riots, because crazy conspiracy theories spread and ran amok. Joe disagrees with me on this, I think, but I feel vindicated.
I don't disagree with you asking the question. I simply disagree with the way you did it. You've just been elected as an MP, and I think it would have been better to write to the Home Secretary and say, we need to know the facts in whatever way you wanted to stay, because you had that platform which would give you dignity and gravitas instead of sounding like a conspiracy theorist.
The problem was time. The problem was time. I did that the day after the murders, because already we were beginning to get incredible conspiracy theories online, and everything Starmer did made those riots worse.
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, what he was talking about, just so that people watching at home might not be, is contempt of court, which means that everybody has got the right to a fair trial, whoever they are, however heinous the crime. And I mean, it is also a fact that the boy was under 18 at the time of... not when he went to court, but when the offences, the murders were committed. And, you know, that's a whole conversation that Ranal and I were talking about earlier. But I think there are, you know, what we do know is that the families of the children, of the girls, were being kept informed. We also know that the police wanted to give out more information earlier on, but were prevented because of the contempt of court.
Yes, and actually, contempt of court was used, as the Prime Minister did there, and he's wrong, but he also got the Speaker of the House of Commons to tell us that Prime Minister's questions, we weren't allowed to ask any questions. I mean, this Prime Minister will do whatever he can to cover up the truth, is my contention.
Well, I think there are 2 points here. The first is the rules that are in place today, yes, they stand, but if the rules aren't working, they should be changed. And so, you know, whether it's around people's, people having been investigated by the authorities, whether it's someone's age, you know, frankly, the rules that say that someone who's 17 years and 364 days can't be named, but the minute they're 18, they can. This is just not right in the 21st century with social media, and the consequences of no one being able to name are very different now than in the 1990s. The second thing is that I do think it's incumbent on government to be more open with parliamentarians, whether that's in public or in private, you know, whether it's on Privy Council terms or on the floor of the House, different situations for different, issues.
And I think that's a really important point, Ranal, that actually, you know, there are things that don't and shouldn't be out in the public domain for an awful lot of...
But MPs deserve to know.
But MPs, which is why I think you should have used your MPs
By then,
channel.
it would have been way too late and the riots would have happened. It was an immediate problem. And you know the conspiracy theories that were going around on the internet about who he was. We would agree mildly to disagree. Now, what is it with the Liberal Democrats? What is it? What is it with these lefty Labour types? The What the Farage moment. I mean, this is unbelievable. A Liberal Democrat council, and I'm talking about Shropshire, have blamed Storm Amy for its decision to take down the St George's and Union flags. And even yesterday in Parliament, we saw Rachel Maskell, elected as a Labour MP, saying she thought the flags were racist. Another Labour MP from Leicestershire saying the same. What is it with you people? Why do you hate our national flag so much?
I think the reason that the Shropshire Council took them down, they took down 5 flags, I understand.
Disgraceful.
They're probably,
Disgraceful.
I hate to say this, Nigel, but they're probably very cheaply made and in China. So they're probably all spying on people of
Well, I don't know.
We don't want to go down that one.
But it's true.
And a lot of them got ripped
they
up in
hate
the
the flag this
store.
lot. They're embarrassed.
No.
The left
They're
simply,
totally embarrassed.
The lefts have
all
some
too
sort of
difficult.
massive chip on their shoulder.
Not
They do
at
get over
all.
that. But you know, the solution is, if they are saying it's just about the quality of the flag, they should have put up more flagpoles. They should have flagpoles off lampposts. They should fly the flag. No excuses.
They don't like the flag. That's what it's all down to.
I think there are times to
You're
fly
embarrassed
the
with the flag, aren't you?
perfectly legitimately for football matches and things like that. But, you know, half-assed up a lamppost.
Well, why not put more flagpoles up? You know, the Shropshire Council, put more flagpoles
I'm
up.
sure they've got
Prove
money to
Nigel
spend on
Farage
that.
wrong.
We know the truth. We know the truth. Now, in a moment, I'm going to be joined in the studio by Conservative Member of Parliament, Sir David Davis. We're going to talk about digital ID. Already, the government massively widening the scope, and we've already had the first serious hack from the Online Safety Act. David Davis joins me on the panel in just a moment.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Digital ID. Well, I think you regular viewers and listeners know my views on this, but let's remember what it's all for. This is what we were told at the very beginning.
I'm announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work. The rule will be that you can't work if you don't have digital ID. And the reason for that is that too many people are working illegally. Clear, you must have ID, mandatory digital ID, in order to work, because we have to stop illegal working.
Now, it's very, very important not to believe a single word this man says, because, of course, already they're widening the scope. Here was Liz Kendall in the House of Commons just yesterday.
Bringing in a new digital ID is about far more than replacing numerous bits of paper just to prove who you are. It's about changing the way the state interacts with its citizens. Second reason for introducing digital ID is to offer greater security and actually greater control over your own data.
It's about changing the way the state interacts with its citizens. Well, exactly. Sir David Davis, Conservative Member of Parliament and former Brexit Secretary, joins me. Cat's out of the bag already, isn't it?
Yeah, already. Absolutely. I mean, this is precisely what it's aimed at. I mean, over the years, we keep seeing this coming on. Do you remember the nudge unit?
Yeah.
Designed to change your behaviour without you noticing.
Yeah.
Do you remember during COVID, the surveillance units that kept eyes on people like you and me if we disagreed with government policy?
Yeah, I was often in trouble.
All right,
yeah.
You were always in trouble. Remember the drone surveillance? You walking your dog, you know? All these things, these are the state interacting in ways where they want to control what you do, and you don't even know it's happening. And I mean, as I said to you before I come on, this is deja vu all over again. You and I on the debanking, when they took your bank account away. Why? Because they wouldn't tell you, would they? That was the point. They wouldn't tell you.
No, but in the end, I got the information and I won.
Yeah.
Can we win this battle?
Down one chief executive, we're down one chief.
Can we win this battle?
Yes.
I mean, Labour have a massive majority in the House of Commons.
Yeah, well, they had. Look, the last time we did this, I've been here since Gladstone, so right.
Folks, he's telling the absolute truth.
The last time we did this was Blair, remember? Yeah. Blair and Brown. And Blair had enough votes to get the legislation through the Commons, but it never happened. Why? Because when it started, it had 80% of the public on side because they thought it was about convenience. Right? Yeah. Then we started to tell them what would go wrong. They lost a couple of CDs with 20-odd million tax records, right? And bingo, 70% against. And we kept it unpopular because we kept people knowing what was going to happen. Now, if you think they could lose a couple of CDs, what can they do now?
Well,
we've had Marks and Spencer.
We're going to come to this hack in a moment. Yeah. Joe, I mean, you were sort of thinking it might be a good idea. Do you still think that?
Well, I'm really torn, Nigel. Yeah. And I think, the thing is that the government have gone about this the wrong way. If you say we are going to be so competent at introducing a digital system that will make life easier for us for tax, health, many things that we do already, travel, what have you. First of all, I don't trust any government to procure any digital IT system. No. I mean, look, we've had the Horizon.
NHS and Horizon and on it goes.
Tony Blair thing. And I know what happens. It's men in suits, sorry, chaps, but you all sit around and you're frightened to look stupid and ask a question of a tech person. And so the tech people pull the wool over your eyes and you go, OK, how many millions is that?
This is a feminist twist on the whole debate here.
But you've got to get it in somewhere. But I think...
my daughters are all scientists.
But I think there is a point where if you said, look, it would make sense that you have a card, but it's a choice thing, and then if you wanted to... I mean, it's interesting, isn't it?
But you can see when she says this will change the way we interact with the state, I find that sinister.
Yeah, well, it's chilling, but you've still got, David Blunkett and Jack Straw, former Home Secretaries, who still are in favour of it, and are sorry that it didn't come through.
Reynolds, you're dead against this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is even worse than the last time this came out. Back then, it would have been a printed article. It would have required interaction of some officer of the state with the citizen. This is the state being able to spy on us the whole time, watch us wherever we...
Yeah, and our medical records will be on there, our vaccine will be on there, our financial details will be on there. This will be debanking on a grand scale.
Oh, yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, and you're too young to remember.
Oh, thank you.
Rose Addis. Rose Addis was a lady who... 90-year-old lady, I think she was, who was on a trolley in a hospital and her family complained, and the government used her medical data to spin against her. They ended up accusing her. I mean, it wasn't truth, but the fact they had the medical data, people believed. So, the state, when it's under pressure, the state will misuse things. always.
Yeah. Well, David, you've been brilliant on this all those years ago. You are again. I'm completely with you on this. Now, we've had our first serious hack after the Online Safety Act. This is the Discord hack. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, this is 70,000 people already, 70,000 users. Who have signed up for the age verification on Discord. And already this stuff is out there with criminals. That's your other big concern is hacks, isn't it?
Well, two sorts of hacks. And the government's own cybersecurity people warned them about this as far back as 22, several times, right? And the risks beyond the state are other states getting into the system. They were told by their cybersecurity people this is easier to break into this than into M&S, and we saw what happened there. So the foreign states could...
Or Jaguar Land Rover.
Or Jaguar Land Rover, or Co-op. I mean, there's so many of them. In fact, 70,000 is tiny. The big tech people who know what they're doing have lost, all of them, lost hundreds of millions of pieces of data. So that's... And the second thing is ransomware, or what the Russians call compromat. If you've got every piece of data about somebody, and today you've got AI to search it. You see, back in the day, when I failed against seeing off the state, I could always say to myself, well, they're so incompetent they can't use it. It's not true anymore. You've got AI that could search everything about you: your tax records, your location records, your medical records,
or just make it up.
And then make it up and people believe them.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with AI. I mean, the thing I think is most chilling is they backed down in the end, the hackers who took the details of children at nursery school.
That was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And which of us wouldn't give in?
Well, absolutely.
Which of us wouldn't give in to protect our kids?
What we don't hear, David, on ransomware, what we never hear is that, from what I understand, in most cases, companies just give in and pay up.
Yeah. And I think it's so big in the case of M&S, it will show up when their quarterly accounts come out. Actually, it's going to be quite big numbers,
Wow.
But if you had a hostile actor, as we say, not a threat to national security...
Well, China, of course, are friends of ours, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you know
that?
Sorry. Did you not get the government circular?
But, you can disrupt things so easily. Yeah. You only need to do a little bit of transport problem here, a little bit of hacking there, and you bring a country to a state of near...
Yeah, that's certainly the state acts of fear, and I think also maybe the ransomware one. But the ransomware, I worry about individuals with the ransomware one. Suddenly you'll get something on your email saying, we know all about X or Y.
But, David, wouldn't you think that it makes sense that you've got your passport, your driving licence, your tax records...
We've got enough ID. We've got enough ID already.
You put it all into
We've
one?
got lots of ID already. You've got a national insurance number which actually links to your passport and your driving licence. But youngsters hate this. If you look at the sort of the sort of who are the people who like it, the elderly, the above my age and up.
Gosh, they're few in number, folks.
Tutankhamun and the rest of us. They think it's wonderful, right? Because they don't accept. But the youngsters, no, you can have a password manager. You don't, just get yourself a password manager and then all your passwords are in your control, not in the state's control.
Well, David, keep fighting the good fight. I think it's very, very important. Now, coming up next, here on GB News, is State of the Nation with Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg. Jacob, what have you got for us on your show this evening?
Well, I'm going to be talking about a really interesting development in the party policy of reform with the axing of the manifesto commitments made in 2024. And I just wonder whether this is a question of becoming serious about money, getting rid of the tax cuts, recognising that fiscal prudence is the right thing to do, but also whether you're following in the footsteps of Kemi Badenoch after her conference with £47 billion of cuts. And for once, is reform playing catch-up with the Tories rather than the other way around?
Jacob, how you say this and keep a straight face is completely and utterly beyond me, but I'm sure it's going to be compulsive, wonderful, sensational viewing. Jacob, thank you very much indeed. Well, that is pretty much the end of my working day, I have to say. It's been quite a dramatic one. Being shouted at and threatened by Madapasa after he was given 5 years in prison was really quite sobering, something that I intend to rectify now that we're finally coming off air. Before all of that, though, let's have a look at the all-important weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Tomorrow, more of the same. Most places will be dry and drab with the winds fairly light, so nothing's moving very quickly. Chunky area of high pressure sitting over the UK, acting like a lid and keeping things mostly cloudy. We've got some breaks in the cloud across parts of Scotland, so here it will turn a bit chilly where we've got the clearest skies through the night. Could also turn a bit misty. Further east, the cloud thick enough at times for a bit of light rain and drizzle to come and go through the nights. The cloud acting as a blanket, keeping the temperatures up at 8 to 10 Celsius for most. But it will be a bit colder in western Scotland where we've got those clearer skies. But again, here, that's where we'll see some sunshine through Wednesday. Elsewhere, sunshine in short supply, a little bit possible on the south coast of England, parts of southwest Wales, and maybe through the day it could brighten up in North Wales. The thickest cloud in eastern England, still some drizzle here and there, parts of Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. Mostly dry and cloudy for Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, and indeed the far north of Scotland, with some outbreaks of rain likely across Shetland in particular first thing. But a good part of northern Scotland, across the mainland at least, should again see some blue skies and some sunshine. Feeling quite pleasant here with light winds and temperatures getting up to 12 or 13 degrees. Not all that pleasant across eastern England with some drizzly conditions and that thick cloud, and temperatures here again only 12, 13 degrees. With some brightness further south and west, we might sneak up to 15 or 16 Celsius. Thursday, well, kind of more of the same. If anything, a little bit more rain across northern Scotland. Nothing heavy, but some light and patchy rain on and off here. Perhaps a few more breaks over the Midlands and North Wales to reveal a bit of blue sky. But for most, Thursday is, again, mostly cloudy and mostly dry. That will continue through Friday and Saturday, but changes are on the way for Sunday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own